All right, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Venue 650. Um, so I guess I'm just going to show you around and discuss kind of what I would discuss with our guests when they come in. However, it will be tailored, of course, a little bit more towards the vendors. But I really just want to, if you're not familiar with Winter Haven, we are positioned technically downtown, but more on the slower, more working neighborhood of downtown. So it is very close and convenient to a lot of our local bars and restaurants, and a lot of fun activities on the weekends. And we actually do sit on our own parking lot, which does make load in and load out really easily. But we are positioned right by the lake, so it does give, especially for wedding coordinators or photographers, a lot of creative ways to get that water picture kind of involved or incorporated into their photo lineup. So I'm just going to take you outside really quickly and start there and just kind of show you how the parking lot looks like and what the front of the building looks like. We did actually purchase this building about 7 years ago, and it took about 2.5 years to renovate it. But it used to be our local printing press here in Winter Haven. The publication was the Winter Haven News Chief. And so it's actually, to the locals, it's pretty cool that, we've done something with the space and that it's transformed. And now we do a lot of community events and local events and things of that nature. So it's actually pretty neat that, locals, and then, we get a lot of traffic from our neighboring cities, of course, and from down south, which is always very exciting for us to see that we've reached even there. So I'm going to flip you around and show you a little bit about what it looks like. So, street view. There's a covered parking here. I'll show you. And I'm just going to come over here and walk you through sort of what a normal, say, a wedding typically will start here in the garden. This is probably our most commonly asked ceremony site. I won't tell any of our guests how they have to set anything up or how the flow will go, but generally the guests do enter in through this side gate here. The garden does host up to 250 guests seated. If you wanted to host something smaller, more intimate, and you wanted to solely use the garden area, it's not fully equipped with facilities or anything of that nature, but we could fit about maybe 150 seated at our tables that we do provide. But you could get more creative, say with a rental or through a rental company using maybe a rectangular table or something of that nature. You might be able to fit a couple of more tables in here, but I would say about 150 would be comfortable. We did install this garage door here. So I would say a lot of our bridal parties will enter the garden through this door or through that side gate there if the couple is wanting to use this large wooden door. Of course, is probably our most commonly used ceremony site.
And what was this area previously when it was the printing press? Was that just kind of like did you have to completely remodel this area?
That's such a great question. Yes, so this garden was completely constructed by us. We added the garden gate around this tree. So the tree has been here about 40 years. Actually, I'm not getting a great view of it, but it's really big. It's huge. But yes, so this used to be an extension of the parking lot. The majority of the parking lot is actually positioned right beyond those large wooden doors.
You guys did such a great job with that space. Were those beams there as well? Did you, or those original, or are those installed after the fact?
They were installed, yep. So it does have all of our power sources on it, on all of the beams. So there is about 25 outlets out here. So we don't provide audio for the ceremony portion, but we will, of course, a lot of power is provided.
Awesome.
Can you
And you
can you
mentioned, go
add,
ahead.
sorry, can you add greenery on the poles
Oh,
at all?
sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they actually are bulletproof, if you will. So we're really not concerned with you ruining or damaging the beams by any means. Of course, we've come up with some creative ways as to how to attach things with magnets and things of that nature. But all in all, we're really more just concerned with that wooden door than anything out here. So but no fire is allowed and no live flame is allowed in the garden here. And we would prefer something more natural products than artificial.
And you mentioned with the parking lot, roughly how many parking spaces do you have?
Good question. We have 150 in total.
Okay, so plenty of parking then.
It seems to be, when we start seeing groups of 500-600, then we do have to get creative with some of the parking areas across our main road here. And of course, our staff does really well about, escorting people across the street and, making sure that everyone is safe.
Awesome.
I'm going to move inside if that's okay. So right off of the garden here, we did construct a bar area, and really it could be any sort of serving station. I know that not all events, request to have a bar service. However, we did build the bar in here for convenience right off of the garden area. Just like I said, it's the most common ceremony site, and a lot of times the cocktail hour is typically on this side. Over here nearest the lounge furniture. The lounge furniture is just an additional seating option that we do provide. However, it can be removed, it can be repurposed. And of course, we do have several different shapes and sizes of tables. But I'll just show you the inside of the bar here. We do require a licensed and assured bar service at all times of serving alcohol. However, we do and will allow you, the bar service or caterer, an extension of the caterer, to use the cooler here. The bar tops are actually a rental, so we don't get a lot of interest in using the kegerator. However, the cooler portion of the kegerator is always really nice and convenient. Move over. So I set this up this is a pretty common reception setup. All of the tables and chairs that are out at the moment are ours and can be used. It is part of the rental, but we do have a set of 200 black Chiavari chairs, 200 white padded folding chairs, typically used for outdoors. And these tables here are 60 inches. So I do have 25 of those to accommodate to the 200 chairs. And then of course we have 2 for the couple. We do provide rectangular tables as well. They are just standard pop-up plastic tops. I have 4 6-foot, 2 8-foot. Of course, the 6 high top tables that I showed you before. And I do have a sweetheart table, which is a half moon shaped 5 feet across, which I'm sure everyone is very familiar with, and a cake table, which is a 36-inch round.
I have to say the pictures that I've seen really cannot take in how big the space is. I really did not realize how big the space is. Can you remind us again how many you can do seated there and then cocktail style?
So we advertise for really mostly it's community events or social events, corporate. 400 seated would be our max, and then standing we've had several that were up towards 600. So, we advertise for 200 or less just in terms of what we provide because it does fit the best in here when you start getting the vendor setups and having enough space around their setup. And it's just a lot more comfortable with food service and things of that nature, especially with a significant dance floor. But this room is 6,000 square feet.
Wow. So you said for
Yeah.
weddings, you usually kind of max out around 200 or so.
I would say, that's what we usually see is 200 or less is probably the most common. But, I was listening to your conversation before and how the spring is going, and we're getting a ton of requests for just still this year, really large events, 350, 400, 450. And we feel really comfortable with just cutting the group off at 400 and making it just that would be the max, especially for a wedding setup.
Gotcha. And then can you show us too, kind of where vendors tend to load in, if you have a catering area for the caterer?
Absolutely. I'm going to show you the suites first. So we did add even though weddings are not our only events that we host, we did add 2 bridal suites or dressing suites for the guests if they would like to utilize it. Because we actually do offer a 14-hour rental, and that's a pretty common wedding rental. So it is from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. And I would say probably 90% or more of our groups want to get ready here. So we did add a restroom into this side. It's more accommodating. And a little bit more of we call this our lounge or smoke room on this side. Obviously there's no smoking in here, but it is just a little bit different theme, of course. And I'll show you the kitchen. Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. About it being ADA accessible.
Yes.
Awesome.
So this is the vendor door. These trash cans, we supply trash cans and liners for the event. So I just put them over here just so that they wouldn't be in the way. There's several more over here in the kitchen, but this was our vendor entry, and all the vendors, they will receive a map from me that kind of, guides them through the parking lot, because there is several different businesses that are attached to our building. So on this end of the building, which would be the south end of the building, the dumpster or main dumpster is located right outside of this door. And we do ask that all vendors load in and load out of here, and there is parking for the vendors on this end of the building. So it does make it pretty convenient, even though the majority of the restrooms are over here. There is 3 stalls in each. Is anyone curious about what they so there's 3 stalls in each here, of course, for the ladies, and then 1 fully handicapped with a baby changing station on this end. Here's our kitchen. Of course, these doors are typically closed when it's active. We do not require, just highly recommend a wedding coordinator.
And what are your requirements for people who, when they bring in their caterers and their bartenders?
So so we have an open vendor policy. You're more than welcome to hire the vendors of your choice or their choice, with the understanding that the caterer and the bar service are licensed and insured businesses.
Perfect.
So, and those are the only 2 that I actually, for several liability reasons, will request their license and insurance prior to the event. But we get requests all the time about, the cake decorator or the, the photographer. And I'm not going to collect their license and insurance from any of those vendors, but I definitely will from the caterer and bar service.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And about how many weddings do you do a year there right now?
That's such a good question. So we average, I don't know if I could give you a full number just because
Yeah.
we've been
No,
active.
ballpark.
We're going, So I would say anywhere from probably our slowest month is about, I would say 8, and the most is 22.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what we see every single month. And 8 is more in August, of course, even
Sure.
July sometimes, but like September statistically for us has been very slow, but this year we're already seeing like 14 or 15. So we kind of already know that this year is going to be a little bit different than we've experienced in the past. But of course, October, November, December, January are going to be our up towards the 20s. And every single day we're just flipping the space.
Gotcha. And you have such a kind of a unique style there. How do you describe the style of the space to couples or kind of in your marketing material? If you're trying to describe, venue 650, here's the style, or how do you describe that?
Rustic chic.
Rustic chic, gotcha.
Yeah, because I mean, we're kind of teetering on that modern, but we're definitely everything in the building. And I don't know if anyone finds this cool or amusing, but everything, all the materials used to flip this space were recycled. So that's kind of where we get that, where everything is kind of old, but still very new. And, all of the light fixtures are a little bit mismatched. And most people don't notice that, but I find that we really appreciate it. And that's really what we try to do is just create a space by using something that's already been made or used or, touched by somebody else. So I hope that
Pretty
answers
cool.
your question. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. In the chat, I put the email address to contact the venue, and so if you guys have any questions about that or want to schedule your own private tour, I also put a link to their packages as well, so you can learn more information about their pricing, what's included, all of that good stuff. And then you guys you're having a wedding show coming up soon. If you want to kind of tell us about that, and then
Yes.
any vendor needs you have for that.
Absolutely. So we are hosting a bridal expo, and it is actually being hosted. We are the official venue for the bridal expo, and it is being put on by a business called Babes Doing Business, and they are local. But they do service the Central Florida area, and they do a lot of really amazing female-owned business markets and things of that nature. But they're expanding their business a little bit, and so are we, because this will be our first bridal market slash expo. But what we're really looking for right now is catering or hors d'oeuvre specialist or charcuterie or anything like that. I know that it is, of course, your time and your money, but because of the traffic, we've been working really hard to get those couples in here just so it will be beneficial for everyone. But it is April 16th of this year, of course, and we still needed quite a few vendors, and all of that information can be found on our website, which is venue650.com. But hopefully someone will be interested in doing that. I know, like I said, it is all of our time and our money, but it does seem to be semi beneficial for, in one ways or another. So
Awesome, great. So again, I do
yeah.
have the email address here. So if you are interested in being a part of the show, I believe you had mentioned that you do have your photography and your planner spots. Those are already taken in full, but you're basically looking for vendors for other categories, correct?
100%, yes.
Awesome.
Any
Very cool.
specialty real rentals. I really do, I see that those large light up lights are very popular, something that can kind of make you stand out, of course, that, just would be phenomenal. So yes, thank you.
Great. And then in terms of lodging, do you have lodging nearby for if someone's hosting their wedding and they need to have places for their guests to stay?
Great question. Yes. So we will provide all of our guests. And what we do is we actually send our preferred vendor list out to all of our couples, whether they book with us or not. And it will list all of our hotels that we recommend. There are a lot in Winter Haven. However, we don't recommend them all. And there are four in total that we do recommend at this time, even though 2 more are coming up probably by the winter or the fall. which is very exciting for us. But yes, 4 of them in total that we recommend. 2 of them are located 2 miles away, and then the other 2 are right next to each other, which are about 7 miles distance from here. So convenient.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And then I can look this up if you don't know off the top of your head, but roughly how
Sure.
far are you from the downtown Tampa area? Do you know how far the location
Oh.
is from there?
Yes, I would. So I was just there. It took me about 58 minutes.
Okay, so not too bad at all then.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm just on the other side of downtown Tampa, and my map said an hour 5.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, good. Well, maybe I just drive a lot faster than most people, but yes, which is probably very likely. But yes, probably we could say firmly 1 hour. Yes, 100%.
Gotcha. Do we have any other questions about Venue 650?
This is Karen with Eventful Weddings. I was just curious about the black Chiavari chairs. If you have the proper guest count, can you use them outside as well as inside, or are they just inside use?
That is a great question. They are just for indoors.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Yeah, we prefer that just because of the artificial turf. It is a bit temperamental. So, but the white chairs are able to be used indoors, which usually is not very preferable. But yes, we'll keep them inside.
Awesome, great. Well, thank you so much again for sharing the venue space. So glad we got to do this tour because, like I said, I've never, from the pictures, I wasn't able to tell like how vast the venue space is and how tall are your ceilings. Those have got to be some pretty tall ceilings.
17 feet.
Yeah, very cool. And can you hang anything from the ceilings? What are kind of your rules from that?
Great question. So yes and no. If we just ask that nothing is attached to the insulation. So typically magnets are used if you wanted to, we see starburst drapery, we see lighting installations, things of that nature. But we definitely have to focus on the lengths of things and how they're attached, but most often magnets work the best.
Awesome, great. Okay, any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much again. Feel free if you want to stay and hang out. We'll do a little bit of networking after. But thank you so much for the tour. I really appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you. This is my first one, so I hope I did an okay job and I was actually helpful and informative. But
You did a
hopefully
great job.
Thank you. All right, well, you all have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.